If you can't cry even when you want to, even when everything inside you feels like it's breaking, pay close attention, because what I'm about to tell you isn't about being strong or emotionally mature. It's about survival. Before we dive deep, if this resonates with you, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because we explore the real psychology behind human behavior. Here's what most people don't realize. The inability to cry isn't emotional strength. It's emotional shutdown. Psychologically, when your nervous system has been overwhelmed by too much pain for too long, it stops processing emotion the way it's supposed to. Your body literally disconnects from feelings as a protective mechanism. This is called emotional numbing, and it happens in your brain at a neurological level. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that processes emotional responses, starts to downregulate. It reduces its activity because the alternative, staying fully connected to pain, was too dangerous for your psychological survival. People who grew up in environments where crying was punished, ignored, or used against them learn early that tears are not safe. So the brain adapts. It creates a barrier between you and your emotions, not because you're broken, but because at some point, shutting down was the only way to keep functioning. Quick question: where are you watching this from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I love seeing where our community is tuning in from all over the world. Behaviorally, this shows up in specific patterns. You might feel a tightness in your chest, a lump in your throat, pressure behind your eyes. All the physical signs of crying are there, but nothing comes out. It's like your body gets to the edge and then hits a wall. From a nervous system perspective, this is a freeze response. When fight or flight aren't options, your body chooses freeze. And part of that freeze is the inability to release emotion through tears. Your parasympathetic nervous system, which controls rest and emotional release, gets suppressed. Here's the part that makes it worse. Society tells you that not crying means you're handling things well. People praise you for being strong, for keeping it together. So you internalize the idea that this shutdown is a good thing. But it's not. It's not strength. It's a symptom of chronic stress and unprocessed trauma. Psychologically, tears serve a function. They release cortisol, the stress hormone. They activate the parasympathetic nervous system and help your body return to baseline after emotional arousal. When you can't cry, that stress stays trapped in your body. It doesn't go anywhere. It just accumulates. This is why people who can't cry often report feeling heavy, exhausted, or emotionally flat. They're carrying the weight of emotions that never got released. Their nervous system is stuck in a state of high alert with no outlet. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine someone who just lost a parent. Everyone around them is crying at the funeral. They stand there dry-eyed, feeling absolutely nothing. Not because they didn't love that parent, but because their nervous system shut down the moment the loss became real. People look at them and think they're cold, but inside, there's a scream that can't find its way out. Or think about the person who gets laid off after 10 years at a company. They pack their desk, shake hands, walk to their car. They know they should feel devastated. They can see the devastation logically, but emotionally, there's just numbness. They drive home in silence, and even when they're alone, nothing comes. Just a hollow awareness that something important just happened, but their body won't let them feel it. This is what emotional shutdown looks like in real life. It's not dramatic, it's quiet. It's the absence of response in moments that should crack you open. Neurologically, chronic emotional suppression changes your brain. The prefrontal cortex, which helps regulate emotions, becomes overactive. It works overtime to keep feelings under control. Meanwhile, the parts of your brain responsible for emotional expression, like the limbic system, get suppressed. Over time, this creates a disconnection between what you feel and what you can express. You might know intellectually that something is sad or painful, but you can't access the emotional response that matches it. It's like watching your life through a window instead of living it directly. And here's what's fascinating from a developmental psychology standpoint. This pattern often starts incredibly early. Children as young as 2 or 3 years old can learn that crying doesn't bring comfort. Maybe their caregiver was depressed and couldn't respond. Maybe they were told to toughen up. Maybe their tears triggered anger or punishment. So that child's brain makes a calculation. Crying equals danger. Shutting down equals safety. And that calculation gets wired into their nervous system so deeply that 20, 30, 40 years later, they still can't cry and they don't even remember why. Behaviorally, people who can't cry often become hyperfunctional. They pour themselves into work, productivity, taking care of others, anything that keeps them moving and distracted, because stillness is dangerous. Stillness is where the unfelt emotions live. They become the person everyone relies on, the one who never falls apart, the one who handles crisis after crisis without flinching, and people admire them for it. But that admiration is based on a misunderstanding. What looks like strength is actually a nervous system that's been running on empty for so long it doesn't know how to refuel. Here's what happens in relationships. When you can't cry, people assume you don't care, or that you're emotionally unavailable. But the truth is the opposite. You care so much that your system had to shut down to protect you from the intensity of it. Your partner tells you something vulnerable, something painful. You want to respond with empathy. You want to show them you feel it too. But your face stays neutral, your eyes stay dry, and they interpret that as indifference, when really you're frozen, locked in a pattern your nervous system created years before you even met them. This creates distance, not because you don't love them, but because emotional attunement requires access to your own emotions. And when you're shut down, that access is blocked. You can offer solutions, logic, practical support, but the emotional resonance they're looking for, you can't provide. Not because you won't, but because your nervous system won't let you. From an attachment theory perspective, this often starts in childhood. Children who were told to stop crying, that their tears were manipulative or weak, or who were left alone in their distress, learn that emotional expression is not safe. So they stop. Not because they want to, but because they have to. If your caregivers were inconsistent, dismissive, or overwhelmed by your emotions, you developed an avoidant attachment style. Part of that style is minimizing emotional expression and learning to self-soothe by shutting down. You learned that you can't rely on others to handle your feelings, so you stopped having feelings that require handling. Psychologically, this creates a double bind. You want connection, but connection requires vulnerability. Vulnerability requires emotional expression, and emotional expression feels impossible or dangerous. So you end up isolated, not by choice, but by a nervous system that learned isolation was safer than exposure. And if this is hitting home right now, if you're recognizing yourself in this, type "me" in the comments. You're not alone in this. There are thousands of people watching this who know exactly what you're going through. Here's the part most people miss. The inability to cry isn't just about sadness. It affects your ability to feel joy, excitement, relief, any emotion that requires full nervous system engagement. When you shut down one emotion, you shut down access to all of them. Neurologically, this is because emotions don't exist in isolation. They're all processed through the same neural pathways. When you block access to grief, you also block access to joy. Your brain doesn't differentiate. It just knows that emotional intensity is unsafe. So you end up living in this muted middle ground. Nothing feels terrible, but nothing feels amazing either. You watch people get excited about things, and you can't relate. You see someone cry from happiness, and it looks alien to you. You're functionally fine, but you're not actually living. You're just existing. Behaviorally, this shows up as anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure. Things that used to bring you joy feel flat. You go through the motions, but nothing lands. You travel, you try new hobbies, you spend time with people you care about. And it all feels the same. Neutral. Gray. It's not depression in the traditional sense. You're not actively sad. You're not hopeless or suicidal. You're just numb. And that numbness is its own kind of suffering because you know something's missing, but you can't access it. From a somatic psychology perspective, the body keeps the score. Even if you can't cry, your body is still holding the emotion. It shows up as tension in your jaw, tightness in your chest, shallow breathing, chronic fatigue. Your body is trying to express what your tears can't. You might clench your teeth at night. You might have constant headaches. You might feel exhausted no matter how much you sleep. These aren't random symptoms. They're your body's way of saying there's something here that needs to be released, but the pathway is blocked. Psychologically, this also shows up in how you handle conflict. When someone confronts you or expresses strong emotion toward you, your system shuts down even more. You go blank. You can't think. You can't respond. It's not that you're trying to stonewall them. It's that your nervous system has gone offline to protect you from emotional overload. And the other person experiences this as you checking out, as you not caring. But you're not checked out by choice. You're in a freeze response. And the more they push for a reaction, the more frozen you become. It's a vicious cycle that destroys relationships because neither person understands what's actually happening. Here's what makes this even more complicated. In many cultures, especially for men, not crying is seen as a virtue. Boys are told from a young age that tears are for girls, that real men don't cry. So when a man can't cry, he thinks he's succeeded at being masculine. He doesn't realize he's actually traumatized. Women face this too, but differently. Women are allowed to cry, but only in certain contexts. If you cry too much, you're hysterical. If you cry at work, you're unprofessional. So women learn to compartmentalize. They save their tears for private moments, and over time, those private moments stop producing tears too. The shutdown becomes total. From a cultural psychology perspective, this affects entire generations. Parents who couldn't cry raise children who can't cry. The pattern gets passed down, not through genetics, but through learned behavior. Through nervous systems that teach other nervous systems that emotions are dangerous. Let me tell you about another pattern. The person who can cry at movies, but not at their own life. They sob, watching a fictional character go through loss. But when they experience actual loss, nothing. This isn't hypocrisy. It's safety. Fiction is safe because it's not real. Your nervous system can let down its guard. But your actual life? That's where the real danger is. So the shutdown stays in place. Or the person who can only cry when they're angry. Sadness doesn't produce tears, but rage does. This happens because anger feels more powerful, more protective than grief. Grief makes you vulnerable. Anger makes you feel strong. So your nervous system routes everything through anger, because it's the only emotional release it trusts. Psychologically, this creates confusion. You think you're angry all the time, but really you're sad, scared, hurt, and your body can only express it one way. So you get into fights. You snap at people. You rage at small inconveniences, and everyone sees an anger problem. But underneath, there's an ocean of unfelt grief. Here's what changes things. The first step isn't forcing yourself to cry. It's creating safety in your nervous system. Because right now, your system believes that emotional expression is a threat. You have to teach it, slowly, that it's safe to feel again. This means working with your body, not against it. Somatic practices like breathwork, gentle movement, or progressive muscle relaxation can help your nervous system start to downregulate. You're not trying to force emotion. You're creating the conditions where emotion can naturally emerge. One practice that helps is called pendulation. You move between sensation and safety. You notice the tightness in your chest for a few seconds. Then you look around the room and name 5 things you can see. Back and forth. This teaches your nervous system that it can touch emotion without drowning in it. Another practice is vocalization. Humming, sighing, making sound. This activates your vagus nerve, which is directly connected to emotional regulation. You don't have to cry. Just make sound. Let your voice carry some of what your tears can't. Psychologically, this also means challenging the beliefs you internalized about crying. That it's weak, manipulative, or shameful. Those beliefs didn't come from you. They came from people who couldn't handle your emotions. And you don't have to carry them anymore. Write them down. Every message you got about crying. Big girls don't cry. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. You're too sensitive. Crying doesn't solve anything. Look at that list and ask yourself, do I actually believe this? Or is this just programming I absorbed? Behaviorally, start small. Let yourself feel what's safe to feel. Maybe that's not crying, but it's noticing the tightness in your chest, acknowledging the heaviness, naming the feeling, even if you can't fully access it. This is progress. This is your nervous system starting to come back online. You might start with safer emotions first. Maybe you can't access grief yet, but you can feel mild frustration or slight disappointment. These are entry points. Your nervous system is testing the waters, seeing if it's safe to feel a little bit. Honor that. Don't push past it. Here's the truth that no one tells you. Healing isn't about suddenly being able to cry on command. It's about slowly reconnecting to your emotional range. Some days you might feel a little more. Some days you might still feel nothing. Both are part of the process. From a neuroplasticity standpoint, your brain can change. The pathways that shut down emotional expression can be rewired. But it takes time, repetition, and safety. You can't rush nervous system healing. It happens at the pace your body can tolerate. And here's what's important to understand. The first time you cry after years of numbness, it might not feel like relief. It might feel terrifying. Because your nervous system doesn't know what to do with that level of vulnerability. Your body might panic. You might feel like you're losing control. This is normal. This is your system recalibrating. It's been in shutdown for so long that feeling feels dangerous. But if you can stay with it, if you can let the tears come without shutting them down again, your nervous system starts to learn. It starts to understand that crying doesn't destroy you. That feeling doesn't kill you. Psychologically, therapy can help, especially modalities like EMDR, somatic experiencing, or internal family systems. These approaches work directly with the nervous system and the parts of you that learn to shut down. They don't force emotion. They invite it back gently. EMDR helps reprocess traumatic memories that created the shutdown in the first place. Somatic experiencing works with the body's freeze response directly. Internal family systems helps you understand the parts of you that are protecting you by keeping emotions locked away. Each modality offers a different pathway back to feeling. But here's what you need to know. You don't have to do this alone. And you don't have to do it all at once. Healing happens in layers. You peel back one layer of shutdown, feel what's underneath, integrate it, then move to the next layer. Some people find that bodywork helps. Massage, acupuncture, craniosacral therapy. These modalities work with the physical holding patterns in your body. Sometimes when you release the physical tension, emotion follows. Your body has been holding what your mind couldn't process. Here's what high-functioning people who've healed from this will tell you. The journey back to crying is also a journey back to joy. As you reconnect with grief, you also reconnect with delight. As you access sadness, you also access excitement. The emotional range comes back as a whole, not in pieces. They'll tell you that relationships get easier, that conflicts don't feel as threatening, that they can finally show up for people emotionally, not just practically. That intimacy becomes possible in a way it never was before. They'll tell you that life gets more vivid. Colors seem brighter. Music hits different. Moments that used to pass by unnoticed now land with weight and meaning. Because when you're not numb anymore, you're actually present for your life. Behaviorally, you'll notice changes in small ways. Maybe you tear up at a commercial. Maybe you feel a wave of emotion during a song and don't immediately shut it down. Maybe you have a moment where you feel connected to yourself again, even if it's brief. Maybe you're driving and a memory surfaces and for the first time in years, you feel the sadness attached to it. And instead of pushing it away, you pull over. You sit with it. You let yourself feel it for 30 seconds. And then it passes. And you're still okay. These small moments are huge victories. They're your nervous system saying, I can handle this. I can feel and survive. Each one builds on the last. Each one creates a little more capacity. From a relational psychology perspective, this also affects how you connect with others. When you can't access your own emotions, it's hard to attune to someone else's. But as you start to reconnect with yourself, your capacity for empathy and connection expands too. You start to notice when someone else is sad, not just intellectually but viscerally. You feel it in your body. And because you're learning to be with your own emotions, you can be with theirs too. This transforms relationships. It creates depth where there was only surface. Here's the part that people who haven't experienced this don't understand. The inability to cry isn't about not caring enough. It's about caring so much that your system couldn't handle it. So it protected you the only way it knew how. By disconnecting you from the source of the pain. Your shutdown isn't a character flaw. It's a survival mechanism. And it probably saved you at some point. It got you through something that would have destroyed you if you'd felt it fully in real time. So there's nothing wrong with you. Your nervous system did exactly what it needed to do. The problem is that what saved you then is limiting you now. The protection you needed as a child is preventing connection as an adult. And that's what healing is about. Updating your nervous system's threat assessment. Teaching it that what was dangerous then isn't dangerous now. Psychologically, this is called reconsolidation. You're not erasing the old learning. You're adding new information. You're showing your nervous system evidence that emotional expression can be safe, that vulnerability can lead to connection instead of harm. And this takes patience, because your nervous system has years, sometimes decades, of evidence that crying isn't safe. You can't overwrite that with logic. You have to give it new lived experiences. You have to prove to it slowly and consistently that things are different now. Here's what this looks like practically. You start by finding people who can hold space for emotion. Friends, therapists, support groups. People who won't tell you to calm down or that you're overreacting. People who can sit with you in discomfort without trying to fix it. You practice small vulnerabilities with them. You say, "I'm feeling heavy today." You admit when you're struggling. You let them see you slightly less put together than usual. And when they respond with acceptance, your nervous system takes note. Over time, you build a new database of experiences. Crying equals connection. Vulnerability equals closeness. Emotion equals safety. And slowly, very slowly, the old programming loses its grip. From a neuroscience perspective, this is creating new neural pathways. Every time you feel something and survive it, you strengthen the pathway that says, feeling is safe. Every time you express emotion and receive acceptance, you reinforce the pattern. Eventually, those new pathways become stronger than the old ones. The shutdown response is still there, it's still wired in, but it's not the default anymore. You have options now. You can choose to feel instead of automatically numbing out. Here's what people don't tell you about this process. It's not linear. You'll have breakthroughs and then regressions. You'll cry one day and feel nothing for weeks. You'll think you've healed, and then hit a trigger that sends you right back to shutdown. This doesn't mean you failed. This is how nervous system healing works. It's messy. It's non-linear. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The key is not giving up when you regress. The key is understanding that regression is part of the process. And here's something crucial. You might not become someone who cries easily. Even after healing, you might still cry less than other people. And that's okay. The goal isn't to cry all the time. The goal is to have access to tears when you need them. To have choice instead of shutdown. Some people heal and discover they're just not big criers. They feel deeply, they process effectively, but tears aren't their primary release. And that's fine. What matters is that it's a choice, not a compulsion. That you can cry if you need to, even if you don't always need to. Behaviorally, pay attention to what helps you feel safe enough to access emotion. For some people, it's being alone. For others, it's being held. Some people need to move their body first. Some need complete stillness. There's no right way. There's only your way. Maybe you cry in the shower because the water feels protective. Maybe you cry in your car because it's a contained space. Maybe you can only access tears late at night when the world is quiet. Honor whatever works for you. Your nervous system knows what it needs. Here's what makes this worth it. On the other side of shutdown is aliveness, is presence, is the ability to be moved by beauty, by connection, by your own life. The cost of staying numb is that you miss your life. The reward of healing is that you get to actually live it. And if someone came to mind while watching this, someone who never cries, who always seems fine, share this video with them. Because chances are, they're not fine. They're surviving. And they might need to know that there's a way back to feeling. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're diving deep into psychology, trauma, and what it really means to heal. Drop a comment below, and let me know, have you experienced this? And if you found your way back to crying, what helped? What was the first time like? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now.